Hey coin lovers! Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about 7 rare and valuable US state quarters that could be hiding in your pocket change. Some of these coins are worth thousands of dollars. Stick around to learn what makes them special and how to find out how much they're really worth. Let's kick things off with a very special coin, the 2021 D. Washington crossing the Delaware quarter. Released by the U.S. Mint in 2021, this quarter commemorates an iconic moment in American history, George Washington leading his troops across the Delaware River during the Revolutionary War. This scene represents Washington's leadership and determination and has been captured in a one-year-only coin design. On the obverse, front, of the coin, you'll find a close-up portrait of George Washington. This image is familiar to anyone who's seen U.S. quarters over the years. However, it's slightly different from the versions used in the previous America the Beautiful series. On the reverse, back, of the coin, there's a dynamic scene showing Washington standing in a boat, sword in hand, surrounded by soldiers braving the icy Delaware River. This bold and dramatic design emphasizes both the historical significance and artistic strength of the moment, making it stand out among modern U.S. coins. This coin is not part of the American Women Quarters program, which began in 2022 with the Maya Angelou coin. Instead, the 2021 D. Washington crossing the Delaware quarter was a transitional release following the end of the America the Beautiful series. Because it was only issued in 2021, it holds a unique place in U.S. Mint history as a standalone design. The D. Mint mark shows that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The U.S. Mint produced more than 1.1 billion of these quarters, so they are quite common in circulation. Most of the coins you'll find are worth just their face value of 25 cents. However, the value increases significantly when the coin is found in uncirculated or high-grade condition. For example, in 2024, a coin graded MS-69, almost flawless, sold for $400, showing how much its value can increase based on condition. Another feature that adds value to the 2021 D. Washington crossing the Delaware quarter is the possibility of mint errors. These errors occur when something goes wrong during the coin production process, and they can make a coin far more valuable. One of the most desired mint errors is the double die obverse, which happens when the design is struck more than once, causing the text or images to appear doubled. If you find one of these, it could be worth up to $300, depending on the severity of the doubling. Collectors also look for die chips, which are small raised areas of metal caused by a broken die. These chips can be found in different places on the coin, and they may be worth between $10 and $50, depending on size and location. A more dramatic error is the misaligned die, where the design is off-center, creating a unique and noticeable flaw that can increase a coin's value significantly. If you think you found a rare version of this coin, don't spend it right away. Use a magnifying glass to inspect it closely for any unusual features. Let's jump ahead to a more recent coin, the 2004 Wisconsin quarter, which can be worth as much as $6,000. That's right, a single quarter could be worth more than a used car. So, what makes this coin so valuable? Let's find out. History and design. The 2004 Wisconsin state quarter was part of the 50 State Quarters program, a popular initiative that ran from 1999 to 2008. This program honored each of the 50 U.S. states with a special coin design, showcasing something unique about that state. For Wisconsin, the design highlighted the state's strong ties to agriculture, especially dairy farming. Wisconsin is often called America's Dairyland, so it was only fitting that the coin would feature symbols of farming. The design shows 3 main elements: a cow, a round of cheese, and an ear of corn. These items represent the heart of Wisconsin's farming culture, with cheese and milk being some of the state's most famous exports. At first, most people thought the 2004 Wisconsin quarter was just another cool coin to collect. But over time, collectors noticed something strange about some of these coins, and that's where the value comes in. Error and rarity. Here's where the big money comes into play. Some of the 2004 Wisconsin quarters have a rare error called the extra leaf error. And there's not just one version of this error, there are actually 2 different types, the extra leaf high and the extra leaf low. So, what exactly are these extra leaves? If you look closely at the ear of corn on the coin, near the bottom, you'll see the regular leaves sticking out. But on some coins, there's an extra leaf that wasn't supposed to be there. In the extra leaf high version, the leaf points upward, while in the extra leaf low version, it points downward and sticks out lower than the other leaves. These extra leaves weren't part of the original design, so they stand out if you know what to look for. Experts believe the error was caused by damage to the die, the tool used to stamp the design onto the coin. Some people even wonder if it was done on purpose by someone at the mint, though that's never been proven. Regardless of whether it was an accident or not, the result is one of the most sought-after coin errors in recent years. Collectors love error coins, especially ones that are easy to spot and have an interesting story behind them. The extra leaf versions of the Wisconsin quarter became hugely popular, and they're still in high demand today. Current value. If you happen to have one of these rare error coins, and it's in excellent condition, you could be looking at a value of up to $6,000. Yes, that's $6,000 for a quarter that might just be sitting in your old coin jar or change drawer. Even if your coin isn't in perfect shape, it can still be worth hundreds or even thousands if it has one of these extra leaf errors. So, take a close look at that coin next time you come across a Wisconsin quarter. You never know what you might find. Coming in at number 3 is the 2005p Minnesota quarter, and this one could be worth up to $1,300 if it has the right kind of error. That's a huge jump from just 25 cents, so let's take a closer look at what makes this coin special. History and design. The Minnesota State Quarter was released in 2005 as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program. This program was created to honor each state with a unique design that represented its history, culture, and beauty. Minnesota is famous for its lakes, so many lakes that it's often called the Land of 10,000 Lakes. The design on this quarter reflects that nickname. It shows a peaceful lake scene, with a canoe gliding across the water. 2 people are paddling in the canoe, and there are evergreen trees along the shoreline. In the background, you'll also see a detailed outline of the state of Minnesota. This beautiful design celebrates Minnesota's love for nature, outdoor activities, and its scenic lakes. Many people collect this coin simply because it looks so nice, but there's something even more exciting hidden in some of these coins. Error and rarity. The true value of the 2005p Minnesota quarter comes from a specific minting error called the extra tree error. So, what exactly is the extra tree error? Some of these quarters show what looks like an extra tree on the right side of the coin, near the outline of the state. These extra trees are not part of the original design, and they happen because of a mistake or damage to the die, the tool used to stamp the design onto the coin. Over time, if a die gets damaged or worn out, strange marks or extra shapes can appear on the coins it strikes. On these error coins, the extra shape often looks like an additional tree trunk or a shadow between the normal trees. There are different versions of this error, some more obvious than others. The clearer and more dramatic the extra tree looks, the more valuable the coin becomes to collectors. What's interesting is that collectors and coin enthusiasts were the ones who first discovered this error. They were carefully looking at their change and noticed the odd extra shapes on some of the 2005p quarters from Minnesota. Once they realized that these extra trees appeared consistently on many coins, the demand for these error coins shot up, and they quickly became a sought-after item in the world of coin collecting. Current value. Here's the exciting part. If you have one of these 2005p Minnesota quarters with the extra tree error, and it's in good condition, it could be worth up to $1,300. That's a huge return on a simple quarter you might find in your coin jar, pocket, or old collection. Even if your coin isn't in perfect condition, it can still be worth much more than just 25 cents. So, next time you come across a Minnesota quarter, take a closer look at the trees. That tiny extra shape could be worth a lot more than you think. Let's dive into the 2007p Montana quarter, which could be worth up to $2,400 if it has the right kind of error. Yes, a single quarter could fetch such a high price, and today, we're going to explore what makes this coin so special and why it's sought after by collectors. History and design. The 2007p Montana quarter is part of the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008. Each year, the U.S. Mint released 5 quarters, each featuring a design unique to a specific state. These coins became hugely popular with collectors, as they offered a glimpse into the culture, history, and beauty of each state. Montana's design is bold and visually striking. The coin showcases a bison skull floating above a scenic view of Montana's landscape, which includes mountains and vast open spaces. The skull is an important symbol tied to Native American culture and represents Montana's natural heritage. Below the skull is Montana's famous nickname, Big Sky Country, reinforcing the vast and open beauty of the state. The Montana quarter is one of the most powerful designs in the entire series, and its mix of wildlife and nature appeals to many collectors. The connection to the state's history and wildlife makes this coin valuable for those who appreciate its symbolism and artistic representation. Error and rarity. Now, let's get to the part that really drives up the value of this coin, minting errors. Some 2007 Montana quarters have unique errors that make them highly desirable to collectors. The most common errors are double die errors and misaligned dies. A double die error happens when the coin is struck more than once, but the impressions are not perfectly aligned. This results in a doubled image on the coin, where you might see part of the design, like the letters or numbers, looking blurred or shadowed. On the Montana quarter, this could appear on George Washington's portrait or parts of the bison skull. Another error is a misaligned die, which occurs when the dies used to strike the coin aren't aligned properly. This can cause the design to appear off-center, or sometimes the coin will have an uneven edge. These types of errors are rare, and when collectors find them, they can be worth a lot more than just a regular quarter. Current value. If you have a 2007 Montana quarter with either a double die error or a misaligned die, and it's in excellent condition, known as mint state, you could be looking at a coin worth around $2,400. Even if the coin has some wear and tear, it could still be worth much more than its face value, especially if the error is visible. So, next time you're flipping through your change, take a close look at your Montana quarters. A small minting error could mean big money, and you may just have a rare gem in your hands. Number 5 on our list is the 2001 Kentucky quarter, and this little beauty can be worth up to $2,500. That's a big return for a coin that might be hiding in your spare change. Let's take a closer look at why this quarter is so special. History and design. The 2001 Kentucky quarter is part of the 50-state quarters program, which celebrated each U.S. state with a unique design on the back of the quarter. These coins were released in the order that the states joined the Union. Kentucky was the 15th state, so its quarter came out early in the program. The design on this coin is beautiful and very meaningful to people from Kentucky. It shows Federal Hill, a historic mansion that inspired the famous song, My Old Kentucky Home. The house sits in the background while a racehorse stands proudly behind a fence in the foreground. This horse represents Kentucky's long-standing tradition of horse racing, especially the world-famous Kentucky Derby. The coin perfectly captures the spirit of the state, rich history, southern charm, and a love for horses. Error and rarity. Now, here's where the coin gets interesting, and valuable. Some 2001 Kentucky quarters have rare minting errors that make them worth much more than face value. The first type of error is called a die crack. This happens when the metal piece that stamps the design onto the coin, called the die, starts to crack over time from repeated use. When a cracked die is used to strike a coin, it leaves behind a raised line on the surface of the coin. It might look like a scratch, but it's actually part of the coin's metal and was created during minting. These die cracks can appear anywhere, but collectors especially value the ones that are long, bold, or in interesting places. The second type of error is known as a clashed die error. This occurs when the two dies, one for the front, obverse, and one for the back, reverse, of the coin, strike each other without a coin in between them. When this happens, parts of the design from one die get imprinted onto the other. Then, when coins are struck afterward, they show faint, ghost-like images where they shouldn't be. For example, you might see parts of the horse's image on the front of the coin, or outlines of the text appearing in the wrong spot. Both of these errors are fairly rare, and they're exciting finds for collectors. People love coins that are unique or unusual, especially when the mistakes are clearly visible. Current value. If you find a 2001 Kentucky quarter with a strong die crack or clash die error, and the coin is in great condition, you might be able to sell it for as much as $2,500. That's a big deal for a coin that originally cost just 25 cents. So next time you're checking your quarters, take a closer look. A strange line or ghost image might mean you're holding something really valuable. And at the top of the list, we have the 2000 Virginia State Quarter, which could be worth up to $7,000. That's right, a single quarter could be worth much more than you ever thought possible. Let's explore what makes this coin so special and valuable. History and design. The 2000 Virginia State Quarter is part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which celebrated the history and culture of each state. Released in 2000, Virginia's quarter honors a major event in American history, the founding of Jamestown in 1607, the first permanent English settlement in North America. The design on the coin features three ships, the Susan Constant, Godspeed, and Discovery, which carried settlers from England to the New World. These ships were part of the historic voyage that helped shape the future of the United States. The design serves as a beautiful tribute to Virginia's early history and is highly regarded for its historical significance. However, what truly sets this coin apart and drives its value up today are the rare minting errors that some of these coins have. Error and rarity. So why is the 2000 Virginia quarter worth so much? The value comes from a specific minting error, the double strike. A double strike happens when a coin is struck more than once during the minting process. Normally, each coin gets struck once, but if the coin isn't ejected properly or aligned correctly, it can be struck again, resulting in overlapping designs. This can cause blurry or duplicated images, such as the letters or the ships on the coin. Another error that makes these coins more valuable is an off-center strike. This occurs when the die that stamps the design isn't aligned properly with the coin, causing the design to be pushed off-center. As a result, part of the design may be missing from the edge, or the images can appear too far to one side of the coin. Both of these errors are rare, and collectors find them highly desirable because they create unique coins that stand out from the typical coins in circulation. These mistakes are not only fascinating to collectors, but they also make the coin more visually interesting. Current value. So, how much can a 2000 Virginia quarter with these errors be worth? If you find a double-struck or off-center strike version of this quarter, and it's in excellent condition, it could be worth up to $7,000. The value can vary depending on the size and visibility of the error, but the more dramatic the error, the higher the value. Collectors are always on the lookout for these rare errors, and they are willing to pay top dollar for them. Even if the error is less noticeable, the coin could still be worth more than its face value. So, next time you're checking your change, keep an eye out for misaligned text, blurry ships, or any signs of the design being off-center. You never know when you might discover one of these rare, valuable coins. Now let's shift our focus to the 2006 North Dakota State Quarter, which is another surprisingly valuable coin that you might have in your collection. At first glance, it may look like just another regular state quarter, but in reality, this coin can be worth up to $1,000 or more, especially if you have a rare version. So, why is the 2006 North Dakota State Quarter so special? Let's start with a little background on the 50 State Quarters program. The United States Mint launched this program in 1999, releasing a quarter for each state, and each one featured a unique design representing that state. By 2006, North Dakota was one of the final states to be featured. The coin shows a bison, a symbol of the state's wildlife, alongside a field of wheat, which is a nod to North Dakota's agricultural history. The quarter also includes the state's name, the date it joined the Union, and the motto, North Dakota, making it a true piece of American history. But here's where things get interesting. Not all 2006 North Dakota quarters are worth the same amount. The reason this particular coin has such high value is due to a minting error. Some of the 2006 North Dakota quarters were struck with a double die, meaning the design was imprinted more than once. This error leads to a noticeable doubling of the text or design features, such as the North Dakota inscription or even the image of the bison. Collectors and error coin enthusiasts absolutely love these kinds of mistakes, and a double die error on this coin can push its value up to $1,000 or more. But how can you tell if your 2006p North Dakota quarter is an error coin? First, closely examine the coin, particularly the areas where text or design details are. If you see any areas that appear doubled, like the words North Dakota or the bison, you might have a valuable double die error coin. The mistake is usually visible to the naked eye, so it's easy to spot once you know what to look for. The more prominent and clear the doubling is, the more valuable the coin will be. Even without a minting error, the 2006p North Dakota State quarter can still be worth more than face value if it's in perfect, uncirculated condition. A coin that looks brand new, with no wear and tear, scratches, or discoloration, is always worth more to collectors. If you've kept it safe in a collection or found one in pristine condition, you could be looking at a quarter worth significantly more than just 25 cents. So, if you come across a 2006p North Dakota quarter, don't dismiss it. Whether it has a minting error or just happens to be in amazing condition, this coin could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. A simple state quarter could turn into an incredible find. So there you have it, the top 7 most expensive and ultra-rare US quarters that could be worth a whole lot of money. If you have any of these coins, make sure to check for errors and see if you're sitting on a small fortune. Remember, even small minting errors can turn an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collector's item. So, next time you get some change, take a closer look, you might just find a rare gem. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more coin collecting tips and information. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.